Hello all. Today we are going to revise our fourth unit, that is Introduction to 8051 microcontroller. We have already discussed this unit in our class, but today we are going to revise it. So Introduction to 8051 microcontroller. So first of all, what is microcontroller? Microcontroller, it is highly integrated chip with a processor, memory and peripherals. It means that a microcontroller is having its own separate units which are required for the assembly, which is required for the interfacing purpose, that is added on it. So microprocessor, as we know, microprocessor requires other peripherals such as read-only memory, read-write memory, that is RAM, decoder, drivers, number of input-output ports to make complete computer system. But microcontroller has everything inbuilt in it. So microcontroller allows more efficient implementation of the process stage as compared to the microprocessor. A microcontroller contains CPU with RAM, ROM, input output ports and a timer, all on a single chip. So this is all about the microcontroller. Advantages of microcontroller are it has built-in peripherals, have smaller access time, hence speed is more. Obviously, if the uh, if the peripherals are assembled on it on microcontroller itself, then it has smaller access time, and smaller access time results into the more speed. Second one is the hardware is reduced due to single chip microcontroller system. Microcontroller system is assembled on a single chip, so the hardware is also reduced. Next, less hardware reduced PCB size. Printed circuitry board size is also reliable, and it increase the reliability of the system. So this is all about the introduction of microcontroller. Now, what are the applications of microcontroller? So the microcontroller is used in variety of applications such as keyboard of PC, printers, television, radios, CD players, tape recording, security alarm, fire alarm, etc. So microprocessor is the part of microcontroller. Okay. So in our syllabus we need to study about the 8051 microcontroller. So basically, the first microcontroller was 8048, which was invented firstly. Now we'll discuss the difference between microprocessor and microcontroller. So first section contains microprocessor and the other section contains microcontrollers. So basically, what is microprocessor? As we know, microprocessor contains arithmetic logical unit, control unit, registers and interrupt circuits, whereas microcontroller contains memory unit, input output circuits, timers and serial input output ports. Second one is microprocessor has too many instructions for the data transfer, whereas data transfer instruction, microcontroller is having only one or two data transfer instruction. The third one is string manipulation instructions, or it can be referred as a bit manipulation instruction. So microprocessor contains one or two bit manipulation instruction, whereas microcontroller contains multiple bit manipulation instructions. Next, microprocessor is having multiple peripheral device, that's why it requires more hardware, whereas microcontroller is a single chip device, so it has less hardware devices, it requires less hardware. Next one is access time for memory input output device is more in microprocessor, because the distance between peripheral devices and the microprocessor is more, that's why access time is also more. Whereas as we know, microcontroller it has built-in memory and input output devices, that's why the distance between them is less, that's why its access time is also less. Next, microprocessor is more flexible in design, whereas microcontroller is less flexible to design. In microprocessor, it has single memory map for code and data, whereas in microcontroller it has separate memory module for separate memory map for code and the data. And the last point is, in microprocessor it has less number of multifunctional pins, whereas in microcontroller it has more multifunctional pins. So this is the difference between 8051 microcontroller and the microprocessor. So next one, we'll discuss about the features of 8051 microprocessor. So basically microcontroller, it has three family members. First one is 8031, 8051 and 8052. So this table shows the comparison among them, in which we are going to compare 8031, 8051 and 8052 microcontroller. So first column contains the features, the second column contains the microcontroller 8031, next one is all about the 8051, and the last one is all about the 8052. So the first feature, on the basis we are going to compare these three microcontrollers. So first feature is, or first parameter is ROM, which is mentioned in the bytes. So 8031 does not contain any kind of ROM, so it has 0 KB ROM, whereas 8051 contains 4 KB ROM. In 8052 it is 8 KB ROM. Next, next random access memory. 8031 contains 128 bytes random access memory. In 8051 it is again 128 bytes, and in 8052 it is double of them, so it is 256 bytes. Next one is timers. 8031 contains 2 timers, 8051 contains again 2 timers, whereas 8052 contains 3 timers. What about the input output pins? So 8031 and 8051 contains total 32 number of input output pins, and 8052 also contains 32 number of pins. Serial port for 8031, 8051, 8052 it's same, which is 1, and the last one is interrupt sources. The 8031 and 8051 has 6 number of interrupt sources, whereas 8052 contains 8 number of interrupt sources. So the next point is, 8051 has two memory spaces of 64 KB by 8 size for both program and data. It has 8-bit processing unit and 8-bit accumulator. So what are the features of 8051 microcontroller? We'll discuss it. First of all, 8051 has 8-bit CPU with register A and register B. Register A is nothing but the accumulator. Second one, it has 8-bit data bus and 16-bit data bus. As it has 16-bit address bus, that's why it can refer 64 KB of memory space. Fourth one is, it has on-chip hardware. First one is for ROM, which is 4 KB in size and which can be referred as a program memory, whereas the second one is RAM, which is 128 bytes in size and it can be referred as a data memory. Fifth one is, it has 32 bidirectional addressable input output lines. In 8051 microcontroller, it has 4 input output ports. Each port contains total 8 number of input output lines. That's why totally it contains 32 bidirectional addressable input output lines. Next feature is, it has two 16-bit timers. Next feature and the next feature is, it uses full duplex UART. UART is nothing but the universal asynchronous receiver and transmitter, which makes it simple to use the chip as a serial communication. So these are the features of 8051 microcontroller. Next we'll discuss the functional pin diagram of 8051 microcontroller. So as shown in figure, 8051 microcontroller contains